Hey boys and girls, so today is Unit 2, Lesson 5, which is practice solving equations, and these are all Regents questions. First thing we need you to do is just write your name at the top, and once that's done, let's begin. So as we look at the do now, it says, what is the solution of the equation 3y minus 5y plus 10 equals 36? So as I'm reading this word problem, the first thing I'm seeing here is the keyword solution. When I see solution, another word is answer. It's really asking me what's the answer to this question going to be. So if I want to find the answer, I'd have to solve through. So the very first step is going to just be me drawing my little train tracks here. I always like to do that. Feel free to do it if you want to as well. And now I'm going to look at the left-hand side because it looks a little busy, right? There's a lot going on over here. So I'm going to see if there's any like terms that I can pair together right off the bat. I'm seeing that the first term has a y and the second term has a y. That means those are like terms and I can combine those together. So in my calculator, I'm going to combine 3 minus 5. This is exactly how you would type it in. Again, you're going to do 3 minus 5, press enter, and you should see the answer is -2. So again, 3y minus 5y is -2y. Unfortunately, the plus 10 didn't have any like terms. That's okay. We just bring them down, and that's going to equal 36. So now when I look at the left-hand side, I have no more like terms, and the same thing on the right-hand side. There's no more like terms to combine. So now I'm going to combine like terms on opposite sides. So if I'm moving to the opposite side, I have to use the opposite operation. I can always combine numbers, so I'm going to move my smaller number to my bigger. So again, if I'm going to the opposite side, I have to use the opposite operation. The opposite of addition is subtraction. You'll notice that I'm lining up my like terms as well to keep my work organized. So these cancel. All I have left is that -2y, so I'm going to bring it down. That's going to equal, well, 36 minus 10 is 26. And then again, the variable I'm solving for is y. Y is on the left-hand side, and there's only one number paired up with him, and it's that -2. So whenever I have a number and a variable smushed together like this, that's multiplication. Well, if I want to move that -2 to the opposite side, the opposite of multiplication is division. So I'm going to divide both sides now by -2 to again get rid of it. Now all I have left is y. So y is going to equal whatever 26 divided by 2 is. So let's do that now. 26 divided by -2 is -13. So y equals -13. Sorry guys, there's the bell. So I know that my answer is going to be choice 1, which is -13. Now let's say this was a test or a quiz and you were unsure if you got the right answer or not. You got the right solution. You can always check by plugging it back in. So this is what I mean. Anytime there's a number and a variable, that's multiplication. We represent multiplication with parentheses. So in the calculator, I'm going to do 3 times, not y, but -13, because I'm saying that y is -13. Minus 5 times, not y, but -13, plus 10. I'm just typing in what I'm seeing on the left-hand side. I'm going to press enter. I can see that the answer is 36. I know that it was supposed to equal 36, so I'm good to go. I know that my answer was correct. So you can always check your work by just plugging it back into the calculator. All right, so underneath, here's today's lesson, all right? Nothing on here is going to be new. You've already learned how to solve all different types of equations. Now we just want you to practice something you would see on the Regents, okay? These are Regents questions. So I'm going to do a few with you, and then if you look here, it says to be finished for homework, all right? So I'll do the first half together, and then you're going to finish the rest again for homework, okay? So let's look at number 1. It says, which value of p is the solution of 5p minus 1 equals 2p plus 20? Well, the first thing that I want to do is just rewrite the question here. So I have 5p minus 1 equals 2p plus 20. Again, I always like to start off by drawing my train tracks here. And again, I have two sides to the equation. So if I look at the left-hand side, these are not like terms. I can't combine a p with a number, so there's nothing on the left for me. Now let's look at the right-hand side. Same thing, these are not like terms. I can't combine them together. So now I have to move to opposite sides, all right? So I'm gonna combine like terms on opposite sides. I know that these are like terms because they both have a p. I'm gonna move my smaller number to my bigger. Right now this is a positive 2p because there's nothing in front. The opposite of a positive is a negative, or the opposite of adding is subtracting. So I'm gonna subtract 2p on both sides. These are now going to cancel. Again, I'm lining up my like terms, organizing my work. 5 minus 2 is 3. So now I have 3p minus 1 on the left-hand side, and that's going to equal 20 on the right-hand side. Again, all my p's are on the left-hand side. Now I want all my numbers on the right-hand side. So the opposite of subtracting 1 is adding 1. If I'm going to the opposite side, I have to use the opposite operation. Now all I have is 3p, so I bring it down, and that's going to equal 20 plus 1, which is 21. And then last but not least, I'm solving for p, so I'm looking at the left-hand side. Right now, p is hanging out with that number 3. I know this represents multiplication. The opposite of multiplying is dividing. So I'm going to divide 3 on both sides here. All I'm left with is p. And again, 21 divided by 3 would be 7. That means my final answer should be choice 4. And then again, if you want, you can always plug 7 back in for p, so you can double check if you have the right answer or not. All right, let's look at number 2. The solution of the equation is, so we already said before that whenever we see the keyword solution, I know I saw it in number 1, number 2, it was in the do now, all right? It means find the answer. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is draw my train tracks. This one is already nicely set up for me on the side here, so I'm not gonna rewrite it, but you can if you want. If I look at the left-hand side, I have no like terms, nothing for me to do. If I look at the right-hand side, there's no like terms, again, there's nothing for me to do. So now I have to move to opposite sides by using the opposite operation. I'm gonna combine, I'll do my variables first. So I'm gonna move, let's do, just to be different, let's move the -2 to the -4, okay? So the opposite of a negative is a positive, or the opposite of subtraction is addition. So either way, I'm gonna add 2x to both sides here. Again, I'm organizing my work by lining it up. Those cancel out. All I have left is 5 on the left-hand side, and that's gonna equal whatever -4 plus 2 is going to be. So let's grab our calculator because I wanna make sure there's no mistakes. -4 plus 2, and that's -2. So when I combine, I get a -2x, and I bring down the -7. Now all of my x's are on the right-hand side. I have to combine my numbers so they're on the left-hand side. So I'm gonna move that -7 by making it a +7. I'm going to the opposite side. I have to use the opposite operation. These cancel out. All I have left is a negative, so sorry guys, -2x, and that's going to equal 5 plus 7. Well, 5 plus 7 is 12. And then last but not least, now x is on the right-hand side, so I'm only looking at the right-hand side. So right now x is hanging out with that -2. I gotta move him. I gotta get rid of him. So whenever I have a number and a variable smashed together like that, I know that's multiplication. The opposite of multiplying is dividing. So I'm gonna divide -2 on both sides. These cancel out. All I have left is x equals 12 divided by -2. Let's type it in. 12 divided by -2 is -6. So my answer is -6, which is going to be choice 4. And again, you can always plug or substitute -6 back in for x on both sides to check if it worked or not. Okay, let's try 3 and 4. If we look at number 3, it says if 2 times x plus 3 equals x plus 10, then x equals what? What is x going to represent? So this one is kind of too far over to the left, so I'm going to just rewrite it to start. So we have 2 times x plus 3 equals x plus 10. Again, my first step, I always like to just draw my train tracks here. Okay, now number 3 is a little different than all of the questions we've solved so far because it has parentheses. Anytime I see parentheses, I should be thinking multiplication. So I'm going to look at the number that's right in front of those parentheses, and it's a +2. So in order for me to get rid of those parentheses, I'm going to multiply, or a better word is distribute that 2 to each one of his neighbors that's inside those parentheses. All right, so 2 times x is 2x. 2 times +3 is +6. And again, that's going to equal x plus 10. And now that the parentheses are gone, this looks very similar to numbers 1 and 2, right? And I just solve how we have been. On the left-hand side, there's no like terms. On the right-hand side, there's no like terms. So I'm going to combine like terms on opposite sides. I know that this is really a 1x. I'm just going to add in that 1. I like to see it. And I'm going to bring my smaller number to my bigger. So the opposite of a +1x is a -1x. Or again, the opposite of adding is subtracting. So I'm going to subtract 1x on both sides. These cancel. 2 minus 1 is 1. So now I just have 1x left over. I bring down my +6, and I bring down my +10. Now I'm going to do the same thing. My x's are on the left, so I want my numbers on the right. So the opposite of adding 6 is subtracting 6. All I have left is a +1x, and that's just going to equal 10 minus 6, which is 4. I wanted to know what x equals. I could also write it as 1x equals, and it equals 4. So my final answer is choice 4. And let's look at number 4 before we go to the next page. So number 4, again, it says, what is the value of x in the equation? So again, I'm just going to rewrite this to start. So we have 2 times x minus 3 plus 1 equals 19. Now, number 4 is probably the toughest question we're going to look at so far because this has a few steps. Right away, let me draw my train tracks here. All right, and let's get started. I'm seeing parentheses right off the bat. I know parentheses tell me to multiply or to distribute. I see the number in front, that coefficient is the number 2. I'm going to distribute 2 to x and to -3. He's going to get multiplied to all of his neighbors that are inside parentheses only. All right, so let's multiply. 2 times x is 2x. 2 times -3 is -6. This +1 just comes down, and it's going to all equal 19. Now I have to look at the left-hand side. It looks a little busy, right? There's a few terms here. So I'm going to see if I can combine any. Well, I know that I can combine -6 and +1 because they're just numbers. I can always put those together. So if I grab my calculator, I'm going to type this in as -6 plus 1. Here we go. -6 plus 1 is -5. So when I combine, I get a -5 underneath. I bring down my 2x, and it's all going to equal 19. And now we have 2 more steps and we're done. So again, these are no longer like terms. He's by himself. So I'm just going to continue solving by moving my like terms like these numbers here, to one side. If X is on the left, that means I want my numbers on the right. So the opposite of subtracting 5 is adding 5. So I'm going to add 5 to both sides. This cancels. All I have left is a 2x, and that's going to equal 19 plus 5, which is 24. And then again, my last step here, x is on the left-hand side. I'm looking over here at the left-hand side. The opposite of multiplication is division. So I'm going to divide by 2 on both. That gets rid of my 2 on the left. All I have here is an x now. X equals 24 divided by 2, which is 12. So I know that 12 is choice 4. That would have been my final answer. All right, let's flip and do one more, and then you're going to finish the rest for homework. All right, let's look at number, let's do number 6. So it says Debbie solved the linear equation 3 times x plus 4 minus 2 equals 16 as follows. So we can see here is all of her work. All right. It says that she made an error, and we have to identify where that error is being made. When you see questions like this on the Regents, because they like to use a question just like this each year, you should be solving it yourself so you can see where the mistake was made. So if I look at line 1, let's just check if she copied the equation over correctly. So 3 times x plus 4, 3 times x plus 4, minus 2 equals 16, minus 2 equals 16. So the first step looks good. She copied it over correctly. Now, if you guys remember, usually we like to get rid of the parentheses first. So I would have probably multiplied the 3 to x and 4. But if you look at her second step, she didn't utilize that. And that's okay. Do you notice how originally there was a minus 2 and now it's gone? So we need to figure out, well, instead of subtracting 2, if she moved it over, she would have to do the opposite, which is adding 2. It looks like she moved that 2 to the opposite side. That means she had to use the opposite operation. Now these cancel. All that's left is the 3x plus 4. I'm sorry, the 3 times x plus 4. And then the 16 plus 2, which is 18. So it actually looks like the second step is pretty good as well. So we got to just keep solving from there. Okay, now I can see step 2 had parentheses and step 3 does not. So it looks like she must have now distributed. So right in front of the parentheses is that positive 3. I know I'm going to distribute, or I'm going to multiply it to the x and the 4. I know that 3 times x is 3x. I know that 3 times positive 4 is it's positive 12. She forgot to multiply, she just has a 4. So I know that this has to be the step that she made a mistake in. So again, where did the mistake happen? Where's the error? It's from line 2 getting to line 3. So she made the error between lines 2 and 3, and that would have been choice 2. All right. Your homework is going to be finishing this lesson. Please make sure you show all of your work and you upload that onto Canvas when you're done.